The School of Rehabilitation Services and Counseling at UTRGV is one of the most successful academic programs on campus. What do students learn in this program, and what career opportunities are available to them after they complete it? Join me today for another campus conversation, and we'll find out together. Welcome once again. I'm your host, Dr. Manuel G. Saldivar. Today, I'll be speaking with Professor Antonio Aguirre, a faculty member in the School of Rehabilitation Services and Counseling at UTRGV.
Okay, we are a very dynamic program that our real focus is on preparing professionals to work with people with significant disabilities in a variety of areas. So we work in both health, human, and even educational services towards assisting people with significant disabilities reach their life goals. Yeah, that's a good point, Dr. Saldivar. I think a lot of students aren't familiar with rehabilitation services in general. They hear about nursing, they hear about OT, PT, some of the different programs in the School of Health Services. But oftentimes they don't hear about rehabilitation services, especially in high school. So just making students aware that our program is available here at UTRGV. We're at both campuses, both the Edinburgh and Brownsville campus, and that we offer the opportunity to work directly with people with significant disabilities, whether they be psychological disabilities, physical disabilities, and then we have the addictions program that focuses on working with individuals with addictions issues as well, and the deaf and hard of hearing component, working with individuals who are deaf or have significant hearing impairment as well. Yeah, definitely. Well, those components add, and remember, we have offered programs at both the bachelor's, the master's, and we offer a PhD in rehabilitation counseling as well. But to focus in on the bachelor's program is really aimed at preparing professionals to be direct service providers, providing those intake services, doing intake interviews, the case management, service coordination of somebody who's coming in seeking services, an individual with disabilities coming into an agency seeking services, whether that be for health services, again, psychological services, substance use services, so some type of health or human service agency where an individual seeking services, and the rehab service professional is the coordinator, the catalyst towards them finding those services and reaching their ultimate goals, whether it be health, human, or substance use services as well. Definitely, there is a difference within our bachelor's program and our master's program, the focus in those, and then the routes that students take both within our bachelor's pathway and then getting into our master's pathway, without a doubt. But at the bachelor's level, we do offer 3 different pathways. So we have our bachelor's in rehabilitation services, which is our, for lack of a better word, our generic program, right? Bachelor's in rehabilitation services, which is really working with individuals in all different types of settings in health and human services with disabilities. But then we have our new bachelor's in addiction studies, working with individuals with substance use issues specifically, and then that has the pathway towards an LCDC, licensed chemical dependency counselor. And then our third pathway, which is the smaller of the three programs, but definitely an area, a niche area that definitely needs service providers, is the deaf and hard of hearing program, which is working with individuals who are either deaf or have significant hearing impairment. And then the thing to take away with that is that you do get 4 courses in ASL, American Sign Language, so the importance of that. And then a couple other things that we have going on in our undergrad program, we have a new expressive arts program, and we're really excited about the expressive arts program that's being headed by Dr. Kim Finn. Dr. Kim Finn is working with the arts department in our university towards actually bringing together the expressive arts and working with clients or consumers through expressive arts towards helping them reach their goals in rehab and in health services as well. So many of our students do get our bachelor's degree and work in the area of rehab services as direct service providers, but many of them do follow into our master's program almost many right after graduating from the bachelor's program, and then pursuing at the master's program a counseling degree. So in our master's program, we offer a clinical rehabilitation clinical counseling degree, and students can actually become CRCs, which are certified rehabilitation counselors, and they have an opportunity to become LPCs, licensed professional counselors, which is a state licensure. So those are both routes that are available through our master's program. And again, many of our undergrad students pursue that right after finishing up their bachelor's and going into our master's. The other program as well, without a doubt, is at the master's level, we have a new bilingual counseling certificate. So definitely working in the area here in the Valley, but even in many parts of the country now where we have many individuals that are Spanish speaking, primarily Spanish-speaking individuals, there's a need for those bilingual counseling. But many of our undergrads that finish our bachelor's degree also use our undergrad degree as pathways to other programs, like you had mentioned, OT and PT, occupational therapy and physical therapy. Many students believe that they can get a bachelor's degree and become an OT or a PT, but that's not the case. OT and PT are both graduate level programs. So a student needs to earn a bachelor's degree in a related field, and I would definitely say that rehab service is a related field. So some students will go through our undergrad program towards reaching that ultimate goal of becoming an OT or PT. I didn't mention our PhD program, but even our PhD program, we're one of the few programs still in our college, College of Health Professionals, that offers that PhD, but our PhD is really aimed at preparing individuals to be, for the most part, professors in the field of rehabilitation. So even at the undergrad, we're preparing folks to be direct service providers. At the master's level, we're preparing counselors, rehab counselors, clinical counselors. And then at the PhD level, we're preparing really faculty to teach in the field of rehabilitation. The Bachelor's in Addiction Studies, which is a new program that we're really aimed at offering it fully online. That there is that need to go online and to provide those instructional opportunities online. That course can be completed, that whole program can be completed online, and they can come away with a Bachelor's in Addiction Studies. And that program opens up the opportunity for what we call an LCDC, which is a credential at the undergrad level, which is a licensed chemical dependency counselor. It is the only licensure for counseling that you can get as a bachelor's level professional. It is specifically only working in the field of addictions with folks with substance use issues, but it is a credential that's pretty significant at the undergrad level. We are part of Health and Human Services, right? But I really oftentimes we're referred to as a helping profession, and I take full ownership. I really appreciate that distinction of being a helping profession, because I think many of our students that do well, that succeed in our programs, are students who are passionate about helping others, that want to be able to make a difference in people's lives. I think one of the big selling points for our program is that we assist others. We help other individuals reach their goals. That we're available to individuals that need some type of support in their lives due to disability or addiction, a variety of issues, right? But that our students are out there trying to make a difference in people's lives. And I think students that are passionate about that do well as well. We have very large caseloads. So an important component of our undergrad program is case management and service coordination. So those good time management skills, good communication skills, I think do well in our program as well. And those are skills definitely that many of our students might need to improve in, without doubt. Many of us do, right? But definitely we do a lot of that training in our program to help people, help young professionals become better time management individuals that assist individuals with service coordination as well. Another thing that I think is great about our field and our program is the diversity. You know, our students are working in so many different settings and so many different health, human, educational services as well. You know, I often tell students, you know, students will ask, well, where do people with a rehab services degree work? And I often tell them anywhere where there's people with disabilities seeking services, health and human services. And that's pretty much anywhere, because there's people with disabilities seeking health services, human services, seeking educational services. So for example, we have folks working at Tropical Texas Behavioral Center as case managers. We have folks working at Recovery Center of Cameron County as LCDC counselors, right? We have folks working at Easter Seals in their early childhood intervention program. A lot of our students actually go, you had mentioned education earlier, a lot of our students, like myself, actually become special ed teachers, because that's working specifically with students with some type of disability in an educational setting. You do need to get an ACP, alternative certification, so you got to become certified after you get our bachelor's, but I think we're a great fit for that area as well. We have several former graduates working here at our student accessibility services on campus even. So again, anywhere where there's people needing services that have some type of disability. Like you mentioned, we are very much a hands-on program. So for instance, our case management, again, we do a case management 1 course and a case management 2 course. In the case management 1 course, we focus on the theory and concepts of what case management is. But then in case management 2, we turn around and we actually put those theories and knowledge into practice, because we actually have students practice intake interviewing, you know, and in class, and they actually record in some of our courses, and then they actually develop individual education plan, an individual service plan, an individual plan for employment. So they actually develop those service plans. They do record keeping, they do progress notes. So even the assessment side of it is touched on as well. So we actually put those knowledge and skills into practice in real life in those case management courses. Again, that is still in the course, but they're actually practicing those skills versus just learning about them, right? And then a couple other ways, significant ways that we do that is that we have quite a few student organizations that are originating from our program. I think we're up to like 4 or 5 since we have so many different. We have the addictions track, we have the deaf and hard of hearing track, we have our program here in Brownsville through the Rehab South initiative, and then we have the big program in Edinburgh. So we have student organizations in all those areas that focus on working with community partners. So we have a very strong community component invested in those student organizations, and they do a lot of volunteer work in the community. They work with other organizations to actually provide volunteer services and volunteer opportunities for students. It's another way that students are able to actually get an idea of what it is to be a service provider, to work with people with disabilities in the community. Along with that is at the bachelor's level, our final semester in the program, students need to complete a rehabilitation practicum. So they do 300 field hours in an agency before graduating. So it's basically an internship during their final semester in the program that allows them to actually be placed in a rehab agency, rehab setting in the community and work throughout the semester in that agency. And then at the master's level as well, again, just towards certification and licensure, they also do a counseling practicum and they do a counseling internship as well. So several opportunities for real life uh, uh, internship practicum experience as well. The opportunity to deliver health human services through alternate forms, whether that be, Skyping, Zooming, teleconferencing, whatever that be. And our students got to experience some of that, and they're experiencing it right now as they're working remotely through agencies and their clients and consumers, because like you mentioned, that's probably we'll probably have to be doing more of that, and definitely because of situations like this, like the pandemic and other health issues we might have, but also especially if we look at the valley and rural areas, it's hard to with especially for people with disabilities, but it's hard for some of these individuals to show up at your office every other week or every week if need be. So the opportunity to actually work remotely with them is actually something that I think is beneficial for everybody, and definitely for our clients or consumers. And, our hand was forced, but it's actually created an opportunity for us to learn and find new ways to work with our clients and consumers, without a doubt. I think I'm a pretty good case study, maybe. So I started my journey in rehabilitation as an undergrad, and not being too certain what I wanted to do. I was a political science major at one point, and then out there trying to find something. I thought I wanted to do something where I was able to work and help people, but I wasn't too sure what that was. And then for myself, at least, I kind of came across rehabilitation services while I was attending school in Edinburgh, and was looking for a program, and somebody mentioned rehabilitation. It was a newer program at the time, a long time ago. And I actually went and spoke to them, and I said, wow, this is really sounds very interesting, being able to work with and help people with disabilities reach their goals and receive services. For me, I was able to do a practicum, a senior practicum in special education as well. I actually did it with a rehab component, vocational rehabilitation, which is another big component of our program, vocational rehabilitation for people with disabilities. And we were working with students, young men and women, high school students, who had a variety of cognitive learning disabilities, intellectual disabilities, towards finding them employment in the community and providing supports for them to continue successful employment. And I really enjoyed that. So after graduation, I actually had the opportunity to become a special ed teacher, go that route of becoming certified, alternative certification program, and went into special education, was a special ed teacher for about 3 years before actually returning back. I was able to return and get a master's in rehabilitation counseling. So I came back and actually finished up my counseling program. And towards the end of my counseling program, was thinking, what do I want to do? Do I want to go to Tropical and become a licensed professional counselor, work in that field? Mental health services, where do I want to work? Went back to my district, and they said, well, actually, we need a counselor at this middle school. If you don't mind, we'll pay for you while you're doing your internship if you come back and be our counselor. So had that door opened for me, so took advantage of it. Actually came back and was a special populations counselor for the Harlingen district for about 10 years. So I did 10 years of counseling in school counseling, which is different than other settings. And really, our program started a PhD, and I got another knock on the door, another phone call, and said, we're starting a PhD in counseling towards a professorship, faculty, eventually. And I wasn't sure I wanted to at the time either, but it was something that had crossed my mind to have the opportunity to teach at this level, at the post-secondary level. So I took advantage of it, and I've been very happy with that choice.
Many thanks to Professor Aguirre for joining us today. If you like this video, please click on the thumbs up icon below. And if you really like this video, please consider subscribing to this channel by clicking on the subscribe button and also turning on notifications by clicking on the bell icon. YouTube will automatically notify subscribers every time a new video is added to this channel. This has been another Campus Conversation with me, Dr. Manuel G. Saldivar. Thank you very much for joining us today, and I hope you'll join us again for future videos.